What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Locked On Wizards. We're going to talk about E's thoughts on the Taj Gibson signing. Is the center rotation set, and where does the center group rank in the NBA as far as tiers? Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy, the real Ed Oliver. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And we're going to go over how does E feel about the Taj Gibson signing? Is the center rotation set in stone? And where does our centers rank as far as the NBA tiers for the center position? So let's jump right into it, E. Obviously, Taj Gibson re-signed 1 year, $3.2 million contract. So, in your eyes, is this move for depth, or is it more of a leadership in the locker room move?
I think it's a little bit of both, but more for veteran leadership. I remember in an interview, players talked about Taj Gibson stepping up in the locker room and showing leadership. I mean, he's been in the league for years, so he kind of is that Udonis. He's in that Udonis Haslam role. I know we're not anywhere close to what the Heat have done. The Heat just went to the finals. They got multiple All-Stars and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, good players, and Tyler Hero. They're trying to get Damian Lillard. And they got a great GM and Pat Riley, a great coach in Eric Spoelstra. So we're not close to that team, but I get what they're trying to do. We have a lot of young guys. Bilal's a young guy. Jordan Poole's a young guy. Kuzma's been in the league for years. But other than that, we got a weird mix of veterans and young guys right now. But I think Taj Gibson is a guy that can settle down the troops, and he's been there, done that. Show young guys, show Gafford how to set a screen, just different things like that. Just being vocal. So I think he's going to be a veteran leader. And Gafford, Taj Gibson, he started in 2 games last year, and there were some times where it looked like Wes Unseld Jr. kind of favored Gibson a little bit over Gafford in some games, or when Gafford was in foul trouble. Taj Gibson had a good game. I can't remember which game it was, but he played really good defense. He was moving his feet. He was finishing around the rim. He was just doing the little things, diving on the floor for a loose basketball. Just the little things, the intangibles, things that you can't teach or coach. He was doing it. Sometimes he will hit a 3. He'll put up the little phone celebration. He'll do some of that. He'll rebound hard. He'll play hard. He runs the floor. Yes, his best years are behind him. We get that. He's not a guy that we expect to go out there and score 10 points and 10 boards like he used to with the Bulls, where he dunked on Dwayne Wade, that poster dunk that he did many, many years ago. But he's a guy that can provide some locker room leadership. Now, could we have signed somebody else who has a better skill set at this point? I think that's what you were leaning to. Christian Wood, I don't think he wanted to come here. So I think he wanted to go to the Lakers rather than coming here. He wanted to go to a playoff team. JaVale McGee was available. I don't think that was an option, to be honest. I'm trying to think. Dwayne Dedmon is a guy out there. I think the Warriors have interest in him. There's some other centers that could have been available that we could have went after, some low-key guys. But at this point, they're just not – we know the direction of this team. They're not trying to get a lot more talent on the roster. They're not trying to win a lot of games. They're just trying to evaluate talent and see which guys they want to keep and see what they can get trade value for at this point. Or, guys like Tyus Jones, DeLon Wright, Gallinari, Muscala, Shamet. I think they're just trying to evaluate and see what trade value they can get for guys like that. And right now, they're just not trying to add too much talent, especially at the center position. I do think they could have addressed it a little bit better than what they did, even if they aren't trying to make the playoffs that are playing.
Yeah.
But, I don't mind the signing. Am I jumping for joy on the signing? It is interesting, too, because you still got Xavier Cooks on the books. You still got Anthony Gill on the books.
Yep.
So that's something that we'll talk about later. Maybe not this episode, but they got a lot of guys on the roster. Only 15 spots, 17 guys are technically on the roster right now. So it is somewhat of a head scratcher, but I get they want that veteran presence, especially with Wes Unseld Jr. right now, who is still trying to learn his voice, commanding a locker room, and a guy like Taj could possibly help.
Yeah, looking at it, man, I'm looking at it from both sides. I definitely thought that they should maybe try to get a center with, like you said, more playing, more ready to play. I get it that, Taj, look, I get it that from a leadership standpoint, good move. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad move. I do believe that, there were other options as far as, Mo Bamba was an option to me. Bol Bol's still young. I thought maybe we should have looked into him. Christian Wood, again, I definitely agree. I don't think that was realistic. He wants to go to a team that's going to compete. Javale McGee, he's been there and done that. We already traded him, so he's not really trying to come back. But Dedman, I thought might have been an option because he can defend the paint. I'm thinking of somebody else.
Usman Garuba. I think that's somebody
There you
they could
go.
have just taken a flyer on.
Yeah, him. And somebody else. What was it? Bismarck Biyombo was out there. So there was options, but I get the signing. I do get it. Leadership. You can never have enough leadership in the locker room for a young roster who's a rebuilding team, especially when you got two guys who they have leadership experience in Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is becoming a leader, but they're still young. So you definitely need that veteran guy. Now I like the comparison to Haslam. You need an old head in the locker room. Especially you said that Wes still trying to find his way as being that voice in the locker room. So we all need an old head, man. So there you go. I definitely see the point of the signing. So it's just one of those things. I thought we could have upgraded because Mike Muscala, nothing against him. He can play. He's in the NBA. Nothing against Mike Muscala, but Gafford, the starting center, he just has his limitations. So if he's willing to take that step where we can really give him 25 plus, I have no problem. But he's got to deal with the foul trouble. He's got to stop going for every pump fake. He's got to work on his conditioning. And he's another one of those players, man. If you notice that we always say it about Denny, we always say about the young guys, man, about, when they struggle, Johnny Davis, when they struggle that, they put their head down and it's a whole different player. You see that with Gaff too. So we want to see him, stay competitive, stay with that dog mentality, man. So I definitely want to see a better year from Gafford because look, he's going to an extension. So that money, look, with that money comes responsibility. You're not, you got to step up to a certain degree. So there's a lot of ifs in the center positions, but from a leadership standpoint, I definitely get it. You need leadership because especially for a young team, you need more voices, you need more guys that have been there and done that. I mean, if you look at Taj, look at the players he's played with. He's played with some characters, man. He played with D Rose, man. He played, New York, he's played with some characters. He knows how to deal with certain personalities. So I think he'll definitely be good for Jordan Poole. Because Jordan Poole, he's a young guy. He's been humble coming into DC, but he's a young guy. He likes to talk stuff, So Taj could be that guy's gonna, kind of ring our guys in. So I think it's going to be a good signing because look, we're not trying to do anything. We're trying to lose as many games as possible. So, I mean, realistically, if I'm trying to lose every game, I'm probably going to start Taj, but I know they're not going to do that. But, I definitely get the signing, man. So, now I was just, I was really inquisitive about what you thought. But we're going to move on and talk about, is the rotation set in stone or could there be wiggle room for another move in the center position? But we'll talk about that. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's right, just a $5 bet. And that's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to join than now. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over and unders, and parlays. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. And thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Every day is tomorrow. And going forward, we are going to talk about depth. And we're also going to talk about who could be candidates to be waived. And we're going to talk about those trade candidates going forward because we know you guys want to talk about it. So let's get into it. Looking at the center rotation, as in the depth chart right now, you're looking at Daniel Gafford starting, Mike Muscala backing him up, and Taj Gibson. Now, you said it earlier, man, that we have 17, we need 15. So Anthony Gill, Xavier Cooks, but I know we're gonna talk about that, going forward. But is it set in stone, or do you think there's wiggle room? Do you think there might be a move where Mike Muscala could be included into a trade before the season starts?
I don't think they're going to make any trades before the season starts. Now, there was a report that Damian Lillard talks are heating up. So, like we talked about in the previous episode, could we be a third team in the trade? There have been reports that we could be added in a third team in the trade. Like the Heat may have interest in Gallinari. They may have interest in Shamet. But to answer the question about Muscala, I don't think Muscala gets traded before the season. I don't think anybody gets traded before the season at this point. If I had to, bet on FanDuel, I think Muscala is going to start the season off on the roster. Same thing with Gallo, Shamet, and guys like that. But I think, as far as the rotation, I think Muscala, and I'm looking at the depth chart on ESPN, Muscala is right behind Gafford as a center. Then it's Xavier Cooks, and then it's Vukcevic. Vukcevic is not going to be here, so ESPN is wrong. And they don't have Taj Gibson on the depth chart either. But looking at my depth chart right now, it's just kind of just throwing darts at the dartboard or just throwing it up in the air between, who's third string behind Muscala. Is it Taj Gibson or is it Xavier Cooks? Is it Anthony Gill? Like, are some of these guys even going to be on the roster at this point? Like, Gill may go overseas. That may still be a possibility. Xavier Cooks, if he doesn't make the roster, is he going to go overseas? Is that a possibility? So the center position is just so kind of it's just, you just don't have a lot of oomph there, or a lot of horsepower there, to put it nicely. So I mean, you're really just looking between Muscala and Xavier Cooks behind Gafford and Taj Gibson, and Gibson's really just there to be your Haslam, to be in shorts and sweats, or sweats and sweatpants on the sideline. He may have to play because, like you said too, Gafford might get in foul trouble. He may, he missed a few games last year, so you just don't know if Gafford gets two quick fouls in the first half or first quarter, then Gibson he's gonna have to play. Muscala's gonna have to play a lot. Xavier Cooks, if he's on the roster, he's gonna have to play a lot. So yeah, the rotation is funky. It's really funky and very wonky right now, but they're not trying to win games. You look at the Thunder last year, they didn't have a center because Chet Holmgren got injured. They had Jalen Williams. They had two Jalen Williams. They had the big Jalen Williams from Arkansas, and then they had the Jalen Williams from Santa Clara. And Jalen Williams is about 6'10", so he's not the biggest guy in the world. So he was playing center. They played a lot of small ball. They had Giddey out there, Shea, and Jalen Williams at the same time, and Lou Dort, and then they would just play small ball. And the Wizards may have to do something like that, where Kuz may have to play at the 5, Denny may have to play at the 5 some points. Now we would get cooked on the inside by other bigs, but maybe Will Dawkins might, coach he's not coaching, but maybe Will Dawkins may have something that he wants Wes Unseld Jr. to do with the rotations and bring some of the OKC schemes and rotations that they had. So maybe Will Dawkins may try to have Wes scheme things up like they did in OKC. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. I mean, I agree that, I don't see Mike Muscala being moved before the deadline. Now, if you're looking at our aspiring deals, which ones would be sexy to another team? To me, would be either DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, because right now you're still figuring out, what is Gallinari's true value? He's coming off an ACL injury. What are you really getting from him? So I think a lot of teams are going to wait and see what he's, how he's going to play. And he's coming in here with a chip on his shoulder and with some fire. So you best believe he's going to be trying to just show out. And look at Muscala, kind of same thing. He's got to build his value up a little bit. So I get it. But, I definitely want to see Vukcevic next year. We got to add some young depth to this position, because I'm a big Gafford fan, man. I kind of adopt him as my guy on this team. I like Gaff, man. I like his personality. I think he's a cool cat, but he has his limitations. Now, towards the end of last year, that last 10 games, you saw him kind of stepping back, hitting jumpers. I'm like, oh, okay. He's trying to do something, but he's got his limitations. So I think Gaff, he's got to step it up, because again, he's going to an extension. That extension wasn't signed underneath this front office. So he's another candidate of, how much loyalty are they going to have towards Gaff with him being a Tommy Shepard signing? Because do they see the same value that Tommy did? Which we all know Tommy's value was, it was something. So, I mean, do they still see the value that he did? And it remains to be seen, because, you could say that contract is team friendly, but if you can't play more than 20 minutes a night, I got to think about, really what is his future? Because I don't think he's the starter of the future. I think right now, rebuilding team, he can spot start, come in, those quality minutes, and put Mike Muscala in there. But by no means is he the future at center. And I definitely, the last video talking about what should be targeted in next year's draft, center is definitely going to be a big target in the draft next year. We've got to find a young center who preferably is, I'll take 6'11", but we need a 7-footer. We need a guy in there who can tower in there and be the center of the future. So, right now I believe it's set in stone, but we shall see. I mean, a lot of people are being evaluated this year, so we're definitely going to see. So we're going to move on to where do our centers rank in the NBA as far as are they great, good, or meh? We're going to talk about that next. But he's going to tell us about the Jace case tonight.
Yeah, I do think the center rotation is set. I'm going to get to the Jace case, and we'll get into that. Like you said, today's episode is brought to you by the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes to get a Jace Case is fill out a simple online form, and in some cases, jump on a quick call with one of our board-certified physicians. Get ongoing care from our physicians on any treatment-related questions, doctor-created, doctor-recommended. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. Jace handles everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. All right. So last thing I want to say about the center rotation, yes, I do think it is set in stone. It is what it is. Maybe they do want to push the pace more, and that may start with more small ball. I think, of course, you can still push the pace with a big. I think it's really good to push the pace with Gafford. Gaffords are the best when they push the pace. Muscala is a small ball 5. He's not really a center in my opinion. He's more of a lean guy. He's not banging against anybody. He's not pushing anybody around. He's more of a finesse guy. Gafford's not really banging. He tries, but he's a guy that kind of gets pushed around a little bit too when he goes up against bigger guys, Joel Embiid, Jokic, Anthony Davis, Vucevic, some other bigs, Valanciunas, Steven Adams. He struggled against some of those guys in the past, and he's held his own at times. But he's done the best that he's been able to do sometimes against those guys. But yeah, we don't have any guy. We're just more of a finesse team at that center position. So
yeah,
Wes is going to have his hands full. He's going to have some troubles trying to defend some guys. Anthony Davis put a 55 on us last year. It felt like every big man had a double-double, like a 20-point and 10 rebound kind of game against us. So we got our hands full of the center position, and we'll see. I think we're going to have to play a running gun kind of style this season for sure with Jordan Poole, Tyus Jones, Kyle Kuzma. But yeah, the question is, where does our center group rank? Just want to get your thoughts on that. Look at some of the centers in the league right now. Going to pull up some of the tiers list. Of course, Jokic is the best center in the league. You got Joel Embiid, who was MVP, Anthony Davis, DeMontis Sabonis, Bam Adebayo. Those are some of the names at the top. Then you got Rudy Gobert, Jared Allen, DeAndre Ayton, Brook Lopez. Those are some top tier elite defenders. Rudy Gobert is an elite defender. Brook Lopez, an elite defender. Jared Allen made an all-star game. DeAndre Ayton just hasn't lived up to what he's supposed to be, but he's had some good seasons. He has a couple good seasons under his belt. Then you got Capella after that. Walker Kessler had a good rookie year. Miles Turner, Al Horford is a solid center even at his age. You got Wendell Carter, Steven Adams, who I already talked about. Nick Claxton's a good running gun, rim protecting, rim running big, just like Daniel Gafford. Nikola Vucevic from the Bulls. Jonas Valanciunas. Chet Holmgren, already said him. And Ivica Zubac from the Clippers. Kevon Looney from the Warriors, a heck of a rebounder. Jakob Poeltl, he's a good rebounder, good rim runner as well. Mitchell Robinson's a good rim runner. Then you got Victor Wembanyama, the rookie, first pick of the draft, who has been hyped up to be a generational talent. We'll see if he lives up to the hype. Jalen Duren had a good rookie season. Mark Williams from Duke had a solid rookie season. Dwight Powell, Alperen Sengun, and Yusuf Nurkic from the Blazers. Those are some centers to name. So where would you rank Gafford and some of our centers among that group of guys?
I would say it's Gafford, man. He's definitely in that group with Mitchell Robinson, Jakob Poeltl, a rim runner who can rebound, who can defend the paint, but a guy that has to be set up, whether through a lob threat, pick and roll, he's got to be set up, So, and Mitchell Robinson, he's kind of that tier, he's the guy, he's kind of a tweener. Sometimes he can hold his own, sometimes he gets overmatched. Poeltl, he's got a little meat on his bones, man, but but they're limited offensively. So that's definitely the group I'm putting him in. And he's got to be underneath people like Vucevic who can step out and shoot. It's interesting that they ranked Wembanyama kind of down there because, like you said, I can't put too much into calling somebody a generational talent. They ain't played 1 minute of a regular season game.
Right,
like,
yeah.
What I mean? If we're basing everything off of Summer League, man, then you guys, I mean, I think that's way too small. The judges got a generational talent, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they called Andrew Wiggins a generational talent, and don't get me twisted. He's an all-star talent, but generational talent just ain't there, So they they're really quick to use that. They use it on Zion, which Zion wasn't so big. Well, I don't know, man. I don't know last time you saw Zion, but he ain't so big anymore. He put down the Mountain Dew, man. He's a little swole, so I'm gonna wait and see on that one. But yeah, he's definitely in the tier with those centers that they had to be set up. They can defend, but they had to be set up with the lob threat or pick and roll. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've always kind of put him up there with Mitchell Robinson. I mean, and it's a good comparison with Jakob Portal. So
yeah, speaking of generational talent, how about Chase Young? He looked darn good yesterday.
I'm just saying, man. Look, Predator is back, baby. I'm just saying, let's get it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So just getting back to the tiers and where Gafford will rank. I think I agree with you on him being in that same tier as like Mitchell Robinson, Jakob Poeltl. I think Looney has shown more consistency, and he just has more of a role.
Yeah,
like Gafford he's been through so many point guards. He was at his best when he had Russell Westbrook. Then he went to Spencer Dinwiddie, who was a downgrade. Then he went to Monte Morris, who was a guy who's just not going to create a lot of offense for guys like Gafford or really. Monte Morris, respectively, he got guys some open looks, but he's not explosive. He's not going to get easy lobs for Gafford like Russell Westbrook did or John Wall would have. If Gafford played with John Wall in his prime, I think Gafford would have definitely averaged 10 to 12 to 15 points just easily off of lobs, kind of like how Gortat did. But I think he's in that same tier. I think I would take him over Mark Williams at this point from Duke. Mark Williams had a good rookie season. He's still learning. I think I would take him over Mark Williams. Jalen Duran is kind of tough. Dwight Powell from the Mavericks, I would take him over him. Sengun is just more skilled, so at this point, I would take Sengun. Nurkic is highly skilled, so that's a tough one too. Zubac, I think Gafford kind of does similar things to Zubac. Zubac is just a little bit stronger, but the only thing that these upper hand that these guys have on Gafford is just kind of just strength. There's sometimes where Gafford kind of gets pushed around. He kind of makes some Shaqtin' a fool mistakes here and there, but I think in the second half of the year he cleaned it up. When he started to start next to Porzingis, I think he locked in more. Kind of got more comfortable throughout the season and played better, made better decisions, finished around the rim, caught the ball because in the beginning of the season he was dropping passes, setting illegal screens. I don't know whatever Gortat was teaching him on his screens, but it just wasn't working. He was picking up quick fouls. So if we can get the Gafford that's super consistent, if Tyus Jones can create easy baskets and lobs for him, same thing with Jordan Poole. The guys are already back in town working out. I saw a couple pictures on Instagram and whatnot and Twitter. Or X or whatever they call it. But yeah, I think just the rotation as a whole right now, it probably is one of the worst center rotations in the league. But once again, the goal is not to win a bunch of games. And let's see what Gafford does, man. I mean, this is Gafford's huge opportunity to get 30 to 40 minutes a game. If he doesn't stay in foul trouble, doesn't make mistakes, he can definitely give you a double. He can, I think optimistically, best case scenario, he can average 10 points and 9 boards a game and 2 blocks. I think that's realistic with this rotation because you really nobody should be looking over. So West should not be binging him for Muscala or Taj Gibson or Xavier Cooks, Anthony Gill, any of those guys. So Gafford, the goal for him should be a double-double this season.
Oh, I completely agree. I think that's attainable. I think it's realistic because he can get up there and get rebounds. Like you said, he has to be set up. He's more of a traditional big. I mean, he can defend the paint, but when you're up there against these bigger centers, man, your Aitons, your Drummonds, man, sometimes he kind of struggles. Like what's that? Nick Richards, man, from Charlotte. I don't know what it is about Nick Richards, man, but he always plays. He always plays well against us, man. But and he can't exactly go out there and guard the perimeter, man. Because I mean, hey, man, yeah, man, if you watch me, look, got love for you, bro, but KD, man, just shows you can't protect the perimeter, man. And so. He's limited, man. But I think that he has the ability, man. If he can stay consistent, keep his head in the game, I'm telling you, it's not impossible to think that he can score 10 points and get anywhere from 8 to 10 boards. I think that's attainable because this is his time, man. You're the starter. You best believe that you're another player who's being evaluated. But like I said, I'm a big Gaff fan, man. Like I said, look, as far as rim runners, man, anytime you can step behind your head, grab a ball and still hit a dunk on an alley-oop, man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, look, you got a little athleticism to you, man. You know, so I know I can't do it, man. So look,
that was crazy. He should definitely be in the dunk contest. That was a crazy dunk against the Lakers.
Oh man, I mean, he has a lot of dunks, man. It was like, you know, and I think one thing is cool about him is that he'll find a kid in the crowd every home game, and they'll come down and they'll toss him an alley-oop. I mean, you know, I like those type of players, man. You know, they interact with the fan base, you know, and so yeah, I'm a big fan of Gap, man. Like I said, I would, you know, I want to see a breakout year, and like I said, I think that 10 points and anywhere from 8 to 10 boards definitely is a goal for him this year going forward because, again, the ball is in his court. So,
yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up there. Definitely a lot of fun talking about the center position. We just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. For the rest of the week, we're going to be talking about possibly teams having trade interest in Gallinari, Shamet, and Tyus Jones, guys like that, and DeLon Wright, and maybe talk about a little bit some. Would you guys? Is the just talking about why the Wizards should or should not trade for Kevin Porter? If you guys want to talk about that, definitely comment below. So those are some of the topics that we have coming up for the rest of the week. We just want to thank you guys for listening once again. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell as well. Hail to the Commanders, undefeated.
Yes, sir.
Undefeated. Hail to the Commanders. Hail to the Wizards too. Peace.